The diner smelled like burnt coffee and lies. I'd worked at Mel's for 3 years, long enough to know which customers tipped and which ones stared too long. Long enough to recognize the difference between men who were dangerous and men who wanted to be. The man in booth 7 was the former. He'd been coming in for 2 weeks. Always Tuesday and Thursday nights. Always after 11. Always alone. He ordered the same thing: black coffee, eggs over easy, wheat toast, and he always left exact change plus a 20% tip, calculated to the penny. His suits probably cost more than my car. His hands were scarred but clean, and he never, ever looked at his phone. In a world where everyone lived bent over a screen, that told me everything. Tonight felt different. The air had weight to it, thick and electric like before a summer storm. I'd learned to trust that feeling. It had kept me alive when I was 17, and my mother's boyfriend came home drunk with bad intentions. It had warned me away from the Columbia University acceptance letter that would have buried me in debt I'd never escape. It had whispered, "Run," the night the cops raided the warehouse where I'd been working off books. I was good at listening to warnings. The bell above the door chimed. 3 men walked in wearing jackets too heavy for September. They didn't look at the menu. They looked at booth 7. My hand shook as I poured coffee for table 3, hot liquid sloshing over the rim. The burn barely registered. I watched the 3 men settle into booth 2, too far to hear him, close enough to watch him. One of them kept his right hand in his jacket pocket. The man in booth 7, I'd heard Mel call him Mr. Constantine once didn't react. He cut his eggs with surgical precision, each movement economical and exact. But I saw it, the fractional pause, the microscopic tightening around his eyes. He knew. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Not your business, Delilah. Keep your head down. You're nobody." I'd spent 6 years being nobody. I'd perfected it. No social media, no permanent address, no paper trail. I cleaned houses under the table, worked diners that paid cash, lived in a studio above a bodega where the super didn't ask questions. Being nobody kept you safe. Being nobody kept you breathing. But something about the way those men looked at him made my stomach turn. I grabbed the check I'd already written up and walked to booth 7. My legs felt distant, like they belonged to someone else. Someone brave. Someone stupid. "Here you go," I said, voice steady despite everything. I placed the check face down on the table, then picked up his empty coffee cup. Our eyes met for half a heartbeat. His were the color of smoke gray with darker currents underneath. They were the kind of eyes that had seen things, done things, survived things. He reached for the check. I'd written it on a napkin instead of the usual slip. And beneath the total, in handwriting that barely looked like mine, "They're watching. Back exit. 30 seconds. His fingers stilled. He didn't look up, didn't acknowledge what I'd done. But something shifted in the air between us. A recognition that felt almost physical. Then he did something that stopped my heart. He smiled. Not at me, at the napkin. A small dark curve of his mouth that promised violence and something worse than violence. "Gratitude. Thank you," he said. His voice was quiet, textured like expensive whiskey. "The service here is exceptional." He stood in one fluid motion, leaving $200 bills on the table. Then he walked, not ran. Walked toward the kitchen, toward the back exit I'd shown him on a napkin like a child's treasure map. The men in booth 2 erupted. "Hey!" One of them lunged forward, jacket pocket bulging. Metal glinted under the fluorescent lights. Everything happened in fragments. The gun emerging like a magic trick. Mel screaming behind the counter. My own voice, high and thin, shouting, "No!" though I don't remember deciding to speak. The customer at table 3 diving under his booth, the bullet punching through the air where Mr. Constantine's head had been, but he was already gone. Through the kitchen doors, past the prep station, out into the alley where the city swallowed him whole. The men with the gun didn't chase him. They turned to me instead. "You," the tallest one said, and his face was a nightmare of casual cruelty. "You saw which way he went." I'd learned, over 23 years of survival, that the truth was sometimes the best lie. "The back exit," I whispered. He ran. I don't know anything else." The man studied me with eyes like a butcher examining meat. "You wrote something on that check." My blood turned to ice water. Just the total. She's nobody, Victor." A second man, younger but somehow more frightening. "Look at her. She's terrified. She doesn't know shit." Victor stepped closer. He smelled like cigarettes and something metallic. "You sure about that, little waitress? Because if I find out you helped him..." "I serve coffee," I said, and my voice broke exactly the right way. "That's all I do." I serve coffee and I mind my business and I... A sob cracked through my words. Half real, half performance. Please. I don't know anything. A long moment. Then Victor nodded once, sharp and dismissive. Keep it that way. They left. The bell chimed cheerfully behind them, obscene in the silence. Mel emerged from behind the counter, face white. Jesus Christ, Delilah. Jesus Christ. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. I stared at the $200 bills still sitting on the table in booth 7. Evidence of a choice I hadn't meant to make. You go home, Mel said, already reaching for his phone. I'm calling the cops. You go home and you forget you saw anything. But I knew better. I'd been forgetting things my whole life, my father's face, my mother's promises, the names of cities I'd left behind. I was an expert at forgetting. This felt different. I took off my apron with numb fingers, collected my backpack from the break room, walked out into September air that tasted like rain and ruin. The street was empty except for taxis and delivery trucks and the endless anonymous flow of New York after midnight. I made it 3 blocks before I heard the footsteps, not running, walking, measured and inevitable as a clock ticking down. I didn't turn around, didn't run. Running meant guilt, and guilt meant dying in an alley with your mouth full of blood and nobody to hear you scream. Instead, I stopped, turned, looked. Mr. Constantine stood 15 feet away, hands in his pockets, expression unreadable in the sodium glow of streetlights. He'd lost his jacket somewhere. His white shirt caught the light, making him look almost ghostly. You shouldn't have done that, he said quietly. I know. My voice came out steadier than I expected. I did it anyway. Why? I'd been asking myself the same question. Why risk everything, my safety, my anonymity, my carefully constructed life of being nobody for a stranger in a suit who probably deserved whatever those men had planned? I don't know, I admitted. Maybe I'm tired of pretending not to see things. Something flickered across his face. Recognition, maybe, or respect. You understand what you've done? What this means? No, I said honestly. But I'm guessing you're about to tell me. He stepped closer. Close enough that I could see the shadow of stubble along his jaw, the small scar bisecting his left eyebrow, the absolute certainty in his eyes. It means, he said softly, you're no longer nobody, Delilah. And in my world, that's either the best thing that ever happened to you. He reached out. One finger traced the line of my jaw, feather-light and burning, or the last. He knew my name. I should have run, should have screamed, should have done any of the 1,000 things a smart woman does when a dangerous man appears in the dark and speaks your name like a secret. Instead, I asked, how did you know? Your name tag. His hand dropped away, leaving phantom heat on my skin. And because I make it my business to know who serves me coffee every Tuesday and Thursday for 2 weeks. Why? The word came out sharper than intended. Why come to that diner? Why not somewhere safer, somewhere without... I gestured vaguely at the empty street. Without assassination attempts? His mouth curved, not quite a smile. The eggs are good. The eggs are terrible. Yes, he agreed. They are. A taxi swept past, yellow and indifferent. Normal life continuing while mine fractured into before and after. Before. Invisible waitress. Nobody special. Nobody at all. After. A woman standing on a dark street with a man whose enemies carried guns. You need to leave, Constantine said. Not a suggestion. A command wrapped in velvet. Tonight. Now. Do you have somewhere safe? Safe from what? From Victor Molotov and his very long memory. He pulled out his phone the first time I'd seen him use one, and typed something with quick, efficient movements. From the Starikov family, who will review security footage from that diner and see you warning me. From the consequence of being seen helping me. My stomach dropped. The cameras. 4 of them. 2 outside, 2 inside. He pocketed the phone. By morning, everyone who matters will know your face. The street tilted. I grabbed a parking meter to steady myself. I didn't think... No, he interrupted, not unkindly. You didn't. You reacted. You saw danger, and you acted on instinct. His eyes found mine in the darkness. It was brave and foolish, and now I owe you a debt I cannot repay except by keeping you alive. I don't want... A car is coming. He glanced at his phone. 2 minutes. You'll get in. You'll do exactly as I say. And maybe, if you're very lucky and I'm very good, you'll survive this mistake we've made together. We? My voice rose. I made the mistake. I wrote the note. And I came to that diner every week knowing I was being followed. Something raw flickered across his face. I came because the coffee was terrible, and the eggs were worse. And for 30 minutes, sitting in that booth, I could pretend to be someone else. Someone normal. Someone who didn't have 8 assassination attempts on his life this year alone. He stepped closer, and suddenly there was no air between us, just heat and danger and the smell of his cologne, cedar, and something darker. So yes, we made this mistake. Together. Headlights cut through the darkness. A black sedan, unmarked, tinted windows reflecting nothing. "Get in," Constantine said. "Or don't. But if you stay here, you'll be dead by sunrise." I thought of my studio apartment, my 3 boxes of possessions, the life I'd built from nothing, careful and small and safe, all of it about to burn. "If I get in that car," I whispered. "Who am I becoming?" "I don't know." He opened the passenger door, hand steady. "But you'll be alive to find out." The choice wasn't really a choice. Not when I could still feel the weight of Victor's stare, the promise of violence in his smile. I got in the car. Constantine slid into the driver's seat. "No driver," I noted. "Just him," and pulled into traffic with the ease of someone who'd spent his life running from or toward danger. The dashboard glowed soft blue. Classical music played low. Something Russian and mournful. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Somewhere they won't look." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer I have." He took a corner fast, smooth. "Tell me, Delilah. Why New York? Why work at that particular diner? Why build a life designed to be invisible? How do you know it's designed?" "Because I recognize the architecture." He glanced at me, quick and assessing. "No social media, no credit cards, cash-only jobs, a dozen small, careful choices that add up to one conclusion. You're running from something, or someone." My hands clenched in my lap. "That's none of your business." "It is now. Not cruel, just factual. The moment you wrote that warning, everything about you became my business. Your history, your secrets, your survival." He downshifted, engine purring. "So I'll ask again. What are you running from?" The city blurred past the window. Buildings and lights and people living normal lives, unaware that in this car, 2 strangers were negotiating the terms of forced intimacy. "Nothing dramatic," I said finally. "No Mafia family, no witness protection, no movie plot. Just," I searched for words that wouldn't sound pathetic. "Just a woman who learned early that being noticed means being hurt. So I made myself unnoticeable." Silence. Then, "It didn't work." "No," I agreed. "Apparently not." He drove us across the bridge, out of Manhattan, into Queens. The neighborhoods changed, grew quieter. Row houses with lit windows, corner stores with gates pulled down. Normal people in a normal world we'd left behind. "I need to know if anyone will come looking for you," Constantine said. "Family, friends, employer beyond Mel. No one." The words tasted like failure. "There's no one." "Good." He caught my expression. "I don't mean that cruelly. I mean it makes you safer, harder to leverage, easier to hide." "Hide where?" "You'll see." We pulled up to a building that looked abandoned, graffitied walls, broken windows on the first floor, a For Lease sign weathered to illegibility. Constantine killed the engine. "This is somewhere safe?" I asked doubtfully. "Appearances are useful." He got out, came around, opened my door. "Trust me, I don't know you." "No," he agreed. "But you saved my life anyway. So perhaps trust isn't the right word. Perhaps it's instinct. And your instincts, Delilah, are better than you think." He led me to a side door, punched a code into a keypad hidden beneath peeling paint. The door swung open to reveal an interior nothing like the exterior, clean, modern, expensive. Marble floors, soft lighting, a staircase that curved upward like something from a hotel. "What is this place?" I breathed. "One of several properties I keep for emergencies." He gestured toward the stairs. "3rd floor, the apartment on the right. It's secure, stocked, and most importantly, off any grid the Starikov family has access to." I climbed. Each step felt like moving deeper into a story I didn't understand, didn't want, couldn't escape. The apartment was beautiful. Minimalist furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a kitchen that had never been used. It felt like a stage set, a place where real people didn't live. "You'll stay here," Constantine said from the doorway. "Don't leave. Don't call anyone. Don't go near the windows after dark." "For how long?" "I don't know." He pulled out a phone, a new one, not the one he'd used before, and placed it on the counter. "This is secure. My number is programmed. If anything happens, anything at all, you call me." "And then what? You ride in like some knight and save me again?" "If necessary." His expression was unreadable. You saved my life tonight, Delilah. That's not a debt I take lightly. In my world, it's a bond. Almost sacred. Your world sounds complicated. It is. He moved toward the door, then paused, turned back. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. You deserved better than this. Better than what? His eyes met mine, and in them I saw something that made my breath catch. Not desire, exactly. Recognition. Better than me, he said quietly. Then he was gone, and I was alone in a beautiful cage, watching the city lights flicker like distant promises through bulletproof glass. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every sound was a threat, the building settling, pipes groaning, footsteps from the apartment below. I sat on the pristine white sofa and watched the sky change from black to charcoal to the dirty gray of New York dawn. And I tried to understand how 12 hours had rewritten my entire existence. The phone Constantine left buzzed at 6:47 a.m. Unknown. Coffee is in the cupboard above the sink. Cream in the fridge. Eggs if you're hungry. The eggs here are better. I stared at the message. He was making jokes. The man with smoke-colored eyes and assassination attempts was making jokes about eggs. Against every instinct, I smiled. Me. How do you know I drink coffee? Unknown. You work in a diner. You've never once poured yourself a cup. That means either you hate it or you love it too much to waste it on Mel's burnt offering. Me. Are you watching me? Unknown. No, but I'm very good at paying attention. I found the coffee. Ethiopian blend. Expensive. The kind I'd never have bought myself. The cream was heavy. Real. None of the synthetic garbage from the diner. I made myself a cup and stood at the window away from the glass, like he'd warned, and watched the city wake up. My phone buzzed again. Unknown. I need to ask you something. It's important. Me. Okay. Unknown. Last night. Why did you warn me? The real reason. I sipped my coffee. It was perfect, which somehow made everything worse. Because perfect coffee in a safe apartment wasn't freedom. It was a prettier cage. Me. You want the truth? Unknown. Always. Me. I saw you. Not just your face. I saw you seeing them. That tiny moment where you knew and accepted it. Like you'd been waiting for violence your whole life. Like you were tired. 3 minutes passed. I thought maybe I'd said too much. Revealed too much about my own brand of tired. Then, unknown. Yes. Just that. One word that felt like a confession. Me. So I guess I warned you because I know what it's like to be tired. And I thought maybe you deserved one more day before the violence caught up. Unknown. Thank you. Me. You already thanked me. With the life-saving and the safe house and the good coffee. Unknown. That wasn't thanks. That was obligation. This is different. Me. What's your name? Unknown. You know my name. Me. I know what Mel calls you. Mr. Constantine. But that's not the same thing. A longer pause. I imagined him somewhere across the city, staring at his phone, weighing what to give me. Names had power. Names made things real. Unknown. Alexei. My name is Alexei Constantine. Me. Thank you, Alexei. Unknown. For what? Me. For trusting me with something real. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared 3 times before his response came. Unknown. Be careful, Delilah. In my world, real things have teeth. I didn't know how to answer that. So I didn't. The day passed like swimming through honey. I showered in a bathroom that had never been used, dried off with towels softer than anything I'd owned, found clothes in the bedroom closet, women's clothes in approximately my size, tags still on. Jeans, sweaters, underwear. All of it expensive and thoughtful and deeply unsettling. He'd prepared this place for someone. Maybe many someones. Women who needed to disappear. The phone buzzed at noon. Alexei. There's a laptop in the desk drawer. Secure network. You can work if you need to. Read. Watch something. Me. Work at what? I just lost my job. Alexei. You're good with words. I noticed your handwriting. Precise. Careful. Do you write? Me. How did you? Alexei. The napkin. Most people write like they're in a hurry. You don't. Every letter deliberate. I felt exposed. Known in a way that should have frightened me. Maybe it did frighten me. Maybe that's why my hands shook as I typed. Me. I used to write stories. Before I learned that stories make you visible. Alexei. What kind of stories? Me. The kind where people escape. Where they become someone new. Alexei. I understand those stories. Me. Do you? Alexei. I've been trying to write my own for 20 years. It never ends the way I want. Something shifted in my chest. He was dangerous and violent, and lived in a world of guns and assassination attempts. But underneath all that, he was tired. Like me, tired of running, tired of pretending, tired of the weight of survival. Me. Maybe you're writing the wrong genre. Alexei. Meaning? Me. Escape stories never work for people like us. We're better at crime novels. Noir. The kind where nobody gets out clean, but everyone gets out alive. Alexei. Is that what this is? A crime novel? Me. I don't know yet. I'm still on chapter 1. Alexei. Then I'll try not to spoil the ending. At 3 p.m., someone knocked on the door. I froze, coffee cup halfway to my mouth. The knock came again. Polite, patient, absolutely terrifying. My phone buzzed. Alexei. That's Yuri. He's mine. Let him in. Me. How do you know someone's knocking? Alexei. I told you. Secure building. I know everything that happens there. Me. That's not comforting. Alexei. It should be. I opened the door to find a man who looked like a retired boxer, broken nose. Scarred knuckles. Eyes that had seen things. He held grocery bags. Miss Delilah, he said in heavily accented English. Mr. Constantine sent provisions. Oh, I stepped back. Thank you. Yuri moved through the apartment with the efficiency of someone who'd done this many times. Unpacked groceries, fresh fruit, bread, cheese, wine. Ingredients for actual meals, not the ramen and canned soup I usually lived on. You need anything else? You text this number. He placed a card on the counter. I bring. You don't leave. Understand? Yes. He studied me with something that might have been pity. Boss says you saved his life. I wrote a note. Is more than most do. He moved toward the door, then paused. He's good man, Mr. Constantine. Many people not see it, but is true. You trust him, you be okay. Then he left, and I was alone with enough food for a week and a business card that said simply, Yuri with a phone number below. I texted Alexei. Me. Your friend Yuri brought enough food to feed a small army. Alexei. Yuri believes food solves all problems. He's not entirely wrong. Me. Why are you doing this? Alexei. I told you. You saved my life. I'm returning the favor. Me. This is more than returning favors. This is, I don't know what this is. The typing indicator appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally. Alexei. Do you play chess, Delilah? Me. No. Alexei. In chess, there's a concept called zugzwang. It means any move you make worsens your position. You're better off not moving at all. Me. That sounds terrible. Alexei. It is. But sometimes, rarely, another player will make a move that frees you. Not because they're trying to help. Just because chaos creates opportunity. Me. And I created chaos. Alexei. You created possibility. Me. For what? Alexei. I don't know yet, but I'm very interested in finding out. I stared at the message for a long time. Outside, the city hummed with millions of lives intersecting and diverging, everyone writing their own stories, most of them boring and safe. Mine was no longer boring. I wasn't sure about safe. Me, Alexei? Alexei. Yes? Me. Thank you for the coffee. And the clothes. And not letting me die. Alexei. You're welcome. Now get some rest. Tomorrow we talk about what comes next. Me. What does come next? Alexei. Tomorrow, Delilah. Some endings can't be rushed. I fell asleep on the sofa as the sun set, and I dreamed of chess pieces moving across a board I couldn't see, playing a game I didn't understand. For stakes I was only beginning to comprehend. I woke to someone screaming, not in the apartment through the walls, thin enough to carry sound from somewhere below. A woman's voice, high and desperate, then cut off sharply. Footsteps. A door slamming, then silence. I grabbed the phone Alexei had left. 4:23 a.m. The city outside was still dark, but my heart hammered like it knew something my brain hadn't caught up to yet. Me. I heard screaming. Building below me. The response came in seconds. Alexei. What floor are you on? Me. 3rd. Alexei. Lock the deadbolt. Move away from the door. Don't make any sound. Me. What's happening? Alexei. They found the building. I'm coming. My blood turned to ice. I did what he said. Through the deadbolt. Back toward the bedroom. Every nerve screaming. Below me, I heard more footsteps. Heavy. Multiple people. Then voices. Muffled but unmistakably angry. Russian. They were speaking Russian. I didn't understand the language, but I understood the tone. Hunting. My phone vibrated. Alexei. Stay quiet. I'm 10 minutes out. Me. They're searching the building floor by floor. Alexei. I know. Me. So they'll get to me in less than 10 minutes. Alexei. Yes. Me. That's not a great plan, Alexei. Alexei. The bedroom. There's a panel in the closet floor, left corner. Pull it up. Get inside. Don't come out for anyone except me. I ran to the closet, dropped to my knees, felt along the floor until I found a seam in the wood, barely visible. I wedged my fingers under and pulled. The panel lifted to reveal a space maybe 4 feet deep. Dark, narrow, a coffin. Me. You built a panic room into your safe house? Alexei. I build panic rooms into everything. Get in. I climbed down. It smelled like concrete and old fear. There was a small LED light, a bottle of water, a gun. I stared at the gun like it might bite me. Alexei. There's a weapon. Do you know how to use it? Me. No. Alexei. Safety is on the left side. Point. Squeeze the trigger. If someone who isn't me opens that panel, you shoot them. Me. I can't just shoot someone. Alexei. They'll shoot you. Without hesitation. Without mercy. Please, Delilah. Do this. I pulled the panel closed above me. The darkness was total, suffocating. I could hear everything. My breathing, my heartbeat, footsteps growing closer in the apartment above. No, not above. In the apartment. They were inside. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from making sound. Above me, furniture scraped. Doors opened. Someone said something in Russian, clipped, efficient. Another voice answered. Then footsteps in the bedroom. Close, so close. The closet door opened. I held the gun in shaking hands. Safety clicked off, pointed at the panel above my head. If they found me, if they opened it, I'd have maybe 1 second to decide if I could kill someone. 1 second to choose between mercy and survival. The footsteps paused directly above me. I stopped breathing. Nichego, a voice said. Nothing. The footsteps retreated. The bedroom door closed. I heard them in the kitchen, the bathroom, then finally the front door slamming. But I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Alexei said not to come out for anyone but him, and I'd already made enough mistakes. 7 minutes later, the apartment door opened again. Delilah. Alexei's voice, low and urgent. It's me. You can come out. I pushed the panel up. Light flooded in, blinding. His face appeared above me, hair disheveled, jaw tight, something feral in his eyes. He reached down and pulled me up with one hand. Effortless. And suddenly I was standing in the closet and he was there, close enough to touch, and I was shaking so hard I couldn't stop. You're okay, he said. Not a question. A statement. A command. They were right there, I whispered. Right above me. I know. His hands settled on my shoulders, steady and warm. But they're gone now. And you're safe. For how long? My voice broke. How long until they come back? Until they search more carefully? Until... Hey. He ducked his head, catching my eyes. Look at me. You did perfectly. Everything I asked. You survived. I almost shot someone, but you didn't. His thumb moved in small circles on my shoulder, and I realized distantly that he was trying to comfort me. This man who lived with violence was trying to gentle me through fear. You kept your head. You stayed quiet. You trusted me. I don't trust you, I said. I don't even know you. No, he agreed. But you're learning. We stood there in the closet, too close, both of us breathing hard for different reasons. In the LED light bleeding from the panic room, I could see details I'd missed before. A scar through his left eyebrow. Silver in his dark hair at the temples, fine lines at the corners of his eyes. He was beautiful in the way dangerous things are beautiful. Knives, storms, wild animals. We can't stay here, he said finally, stepping back. They'll come back with more men, better equipment. This safe house is compromised. Where do we go? Somewhere they won't think to look. He moved out of the closet, started gathering my few belongings. Get dressed, wear layers. We leave in 3 minutes. Alexei. He turned, and something in his expression stopped my breath. I made a mistake, he said quietly. Bringing you here, thinking I could hide you in one of my usual places. Viktor Molotov is smarter than I gave him credit for. He's not just looking for you, he's looking for patterns. My patterns. So what does that mean? It means we need to disappear. Really disappear. No safe houses, no network, no connections to anything I've built. He handed me my jacket. It means you're stuck with me, personally, until I figure out how to end this. End this how? His smile was cold and sharp and promised violence. By removing Victor from the equation. Permanently. We left through a different exit through the panic room itself, which connected to a tunnel that led to an adjacent building's basement. Alexei moved with absolute certainty, one hand on my elbow, guiding me through darkness. We emerged 2 blocks away. The city was waking up, coffee shops opening, people starting their commutes. Normal life, indifferent to our crisis. There's a car, Alexei said, nodding toward a nondescript gray sedan. Not the black car from before. Get in. I did. He drove us in silence through Queens, over another bridge, into Brooklyn. The neighborhoods grew residential, tree-lined. Pretty brownstones with flower boxes, the kind of streets where nothing bad ever happened. He parked in front of a house that looked like all the others. Red brick, black door, small garden. What is this? I asked. My mother's house. He killed the engine, and for the first time since I'd met him, he looked uncertain. She doesn't know what I do. Not really. She knows I'm in business, that I'm successful, that I'm... He searched for words. That I'm not entirely legal, but she doesn't know the details, and I'd like to keep it that way. You're taking me to meet your mother? I'm taking you to the one place Viktor Molotov would never look. He turned to face me. Because I don't bring anyone here. Ever. This place doesn't exist in my world. It's separate. Sacred. So why? Because you saved my life? He interrupted. And because I'm realizing that keeping you alive might require me to show you parts of myself I've spent 20 years hiding. His eyes met mine. Vulnerable and hard at once. Can you do that? Can you meet my mother and pretend we're something normal? Something safe? I thought about the panic room, the gun, the footsteps above my head in the dark, about how nothing about this was normal or safe. Yes, I said. I can pretend. Good. He got out of the car. Because she's going to love you, and that's going to make this so much harder. Make what harder? He looked at me over the roof of the car, and his expression was impossible to read. Everything, he said. Alexei's mother was 4 feet 11 inches of pure determination wrapped in a floral apron. Lyosha. She appeared at the door before Alexei could knock. Eyes bright, and immediately started speaking rapid-fire Russian while pulling him down into a hug. He tolerated it with the patience of someone long accustomed to maternal affection, then gently extracted himself. Mama. English. We have a guest. Her gaze swiveled to me, sharp and assessing in the way only mothers can manage. Then her face broke into a smile that crinkled her entire face. Guest! You bring a girl! Finally, after all these years, my son brings a girl. Mama. I'm Svetlana. She grabbed my hand in both of hers. Warm and rough from years of work. Come, come. You must be hungry. Lyosha never feeds his friends properly. Always work, work, work. I tell him, what good is money if you don't enjoy life? But does he listen? Never. She pulled me inside while Alexei followed, and I caught his expression half mortified, half amused as his mother led me into a kitchen that smelled like heaven. Fresh bread, something with meat and spices, strong tea. Sit, Svetlana commanded, pointing at a chair that had probably been at that table for 30 years. You're too thin. What is your name? Darling? Delilah. Delilah. She repeated it with delight, the syllables musical in her accent. Beautiful name. Strong name. Biblical name. Do you know the story? Delilah was clever. Too clever maybe, but clever. She busied herself at the stove, already assembling plates. My son could use someone clever. He thinks he's so smart, but men are all idiots about the important things. Mama. Alexei's voice held a warning, but his mother ignored him with the expertise of decades. How did you meet my Lyosha? He never tells me anything. Just calls on Sundays. Says he's fine. Everything is fine. Like I'm stupid. She set plates in front of us. Piroshki, stuffed with potato and cheese, still steaming. I'm his mother. I know when things are not fine. I glanced at Alexei. He gave me the smallest nod. Permission. We met at a diner, I said. I'm a waitress. He came in for coffee. Coffee! Svetlana laughed. The coffee in this city is terrible. In Russia, real coffee. Strong, black. Here, everything is too much milk, too much sugar, too much... She waved her hand dismissively. Too much trying to hide what coffee actually is. She makes an excellent point, I said, and earned a genuine smile from Alexei. We ate while Svetlana talked about her garden, about the neighbors, about her cousin's daughter's wedding that was too expensive and too showy. Normal things, safe things, the kind of conversation that had nothing to do with panic rooms or assassination attempts or men hunting me through dark buildings. I watched Alexei with his mother, and he was different, softer, younger. The tension in his shoulders eased. He even laughed when Svetlana told a story about him as a child, trying to give away all his toys to other kids because he didn't need things. Even then, she said, touching his cheek with maternal affection. Even as a little boy, you wanted to save everyone. Fix everything. My little hero. Something flickered across Alexei's face. Pain, maybe. Or guilt. Mama, can Delilah and I use the guest room for a few days? I have some business in Brooklyn, and… Business. Svetlana's voice sharpened. What kind of business requires you to stay with your mother? You have your own apartment. Your own life. The kind where I want to spend time with you, Alexei said smoothly. Is that so strange? She studied him, then me, then him again. Whatever she saw made her sigh. The room is clean. Fresh sheets. But I want the truth, Lyosha. Not business. Not lies. The truth. Later, he promised. When Delilah isn't here. She should hear it too if she's involved. She's not. Don't lie to your mother. Svetlana stood, collected plates. I may be old, but I'm not blind. That girl has fear in her eyes, and you have guilt. So whatever mess you've made, you fix it properly. No violence. You promise me. No violence. Alexei's jaw tightened. I promise to do what's necessary. That's not a promise. It's the only one I can give. They stared at each other, a battle of wills I didn't understand but could feel like electricity. Finally, Svetlana nodded once, sharp and resigned. Fine. But she stays for dinner. And tomorrow we go to church. Both of you. Mama. Both. Of. You. She pointed at him with a wooden spoon. You don't get to hide in my house and avoid God. If you want sanctuary, you do it properly. After Svetlana left to tend her garden, Alexei showed me to the guest room. It was small, neat, full of sunlight. A bed with a handmade quilt. A dresser with family photos. A window overlooking the garden, where his mother was already pulling weeds. I'm sorry, he said, leaning against the doorframe. For involving her. For bringing you here. Don't. I sat on the edge of the bed. Don't apologize for letting me see something real. This isn't real. It's theater. We're pretending. Are we? I looked up at him. Because your mother seems real. This house seems real. The way you are with her, that's more real than anything I've seen in years. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he crossed the room and sat beside me, careful to leave space between us. My father died when I was 12, he said. Heart attack. 1 minute he was there, the next he was gone. And my mother, she fell apart. Stopped eating, stopped sleeping, started giving away all our money because she couldn't stand having things when he had nothing. Alexei, I was 12, he continued, voice low and distant. And I decided I would fix it. I would make money. I would take care of her. I would do whatever it took. His hands clenched. I didn't understand what whatever it took would mean. What I'd become. What I'd have to do. I understood then. The clothes that cost too much. The cars. The men with guns. The careful distance he maintained between his mother and his real life. She thinks you're in business, I said softly. Import-export or something. Yes. And you let her think that. Yes. Why? He turned to look at me, and his eyes were raw. Because she still sees me as that 12-year-old boy trying to fix the world. And I can't. His voice cracked. I can't stand the thought of her knowing what I really am. What I've done. What I'm capable of. I did something I'd never done with anyone, ever. I reached out and took his hand. His fingers were warm, calloused, scarred. They closed around mine with surprising gentleness. You're not just what you've done, I said. You're also the man who brings his mother fresh bread, who promises her no violence even though it's an impossible promise, who builds panic rooms to keep strangers safe. I'm a monster, he whispered, dressed in expensive suits. Maybe. I squeezed his hand. But you're a monster who saved my life, so I'm probably not the most objective judge. He laughed, surprised and genuine. No, probably not. We sat there as the afternoon light shifted, holding hands like teenagers, and I thought about how strange it was that fear could turn into something else. Not love, it was too soon, too complicated, too dangerous for love. But recognition. Maybe. The kind that happens when two people who've spent their lives hiding suddenly see each other clearly. Delilah. His thumb traced circles on the back of my hand. When this is over, if we both survive, will you tell me your real story? The one you've been running from? Will you tell me yours? Yes. Then I will too. Outside, Svetlana hummed something Russian and cheerful. Inside, two people who'd spent years running from their past sat in borrowed sunlight and pretended, just for a moment, that tomorrow wasn't coming. But tomorrow always comes. And it brings its debts. Church, I discovered, was where Alexei Konstantin looked most uncomfortable. We sat in the third pew from the back, Svetlana's regular spot, apparently surrounded by Brooklyn Russians in their Sunday finest. The priest spoke in liturgical tones, half English, half Church Slavonic, while incense curled toward vaulted ceilings and painted icons watched with gold leaf eyes. Alexei sat rigid beside me, jaw tight, hands clasped so hard his knuckles were white. You okay? I whispered. Fine. He was lying. I'd learned to recognize his lies now, the ones he told himself, the ones he told the world, the ones he told to keep from breaking. His mother leaned across me, patted his knee. Breathe, Lyosha. God doesn't bite. Mama, breathe. He did, slowly, like it hurt. After the service, we lingered in the narthex, while Svetlana chatted with friends. Old women who cooed over Alexei, so handsome, so successful, and examined me with the shrewd interest of matchmakers. I smiled and nodded and tried not to think about the gun Alexei wore concealed at his spine, hidden under an expensive sweater his mother had probably bought him. She seems nice, one woman said to Svetlana in Russian, loud enough for me to hear. Pretty, good bones. Does she have family? I don't know, Svetlana admitted. But she makes Lyosha smile, and that's worth more than family. I caught Alexei's expression, guilt and affection, and something more complicated. He'd understood every word, and so had I, though I wasn't supposed to. Another secret we shared now, this growing collection of things unsaid. We walked back to the house through streets dappled with October light. Svetlana walked ahead, humming, stopping to admire someone's garden or comment on a neighbor's new fence. Normal, safe. Everything Alexei's life wasn't. Thank you, he said quietly, for doing this, for pretending. I'm not pretending. He glanced at me, surprised. You're not? No. I shoved my hands in my pockets. Your mother is lovely. This neighborhood is lovely. The whole thing is lovely. Why would I pretend to enjoy it? Because it's boring. Boring isn't bad, Alexei. Sometimes boring is exactly what people need. He was quiet the rest of the walk. At dinner, endless courses of Svetlana's cooking, each better than the last, the conversation turned to stories. Svetlana told tales of Alexei as a child, bringing home stray animals, befriending outcasts, standing up to bullies twice his size. Even in kindergarten, she said, ladling more soup into my bowl. He was like this, protective, fierce when he needed to be, but gentle underneath. His father, God rest his soul, he used to worry Lyosha was too soft, too kind for this world. And what do you think? I asked. Svetlana looked at her son with eyes that saw everything. I think the world tried very hard to make him hard, and mostly it succeeded, but not completely, not where it matters. Mama, Alexei's voice was strained. Please. What? I'm not allowed to be proud of my son? To tell nice girl about him? You're embarrassing me. Good. She patted his hand. You spend too much time being serious. Little embarrassment is healthy. After dinner, while Svetlana watched her evening programs, Alexei and I escaped to the back porch. The garden was lit with string lights, warm and golden against the coming dark. The air smelled like late roses and the first hint of winter. I'm sorry, he said again, for all of this. Stop apologizing. I don't know what else to do. He leaned against the porch railing, and in the golden light he looked younger, vulnerable. I brought you into my mother's home. I'm lying to her. I'm using her kindness as cover while men with guns hunt us. It's wrong, and if we'd stayed at the safe house, I'd probably be dead. I moved to stand beside him. You made the right call, Alexei, even if it's complicated. Everything is complicated. He pulled out his phone, the secure one, and scrolled through something that made his expression darken. Viktor Molotov put out a reward, $50,000 for information leading to either of us. My stomach dropped. 50,000? You're expensive, apparently. Congratulations. That's not funny. No, he agreed. It's not. It means we have maybe 3 days before someone who knows me, knows my patterns, decides the money is worth the betrayal. What do we do? I'm working on it. He pocketed his phone. But it requires. He hesitated. It requires me to call in favors I'd rather not call in, to ask for help from people I don't trust, to ask me to do something dangerous. I finished. He turned to look at me. Yes. What kind of dangerous? The kind where you'd have to trust me completely. Where you'd have to do exactly what I say. When I say it, no questions. Where the margin for error is. He shook his head. Where one mistake could kill us both. I should have been terrified, should have run back inside, grabbed Svetlana, called the police, done something rational and safe. Instead, I asked, when? Delilah. When, Alexei? 2 days. Maybe 3. His hand came up, hesitated, then touched my face with careful reverence. I wish I'd met you differently. In another life. Where I was someone better and you were someone safer and none of this. He gestured vaguely at the world. None of this was burning around us. But you didn't, I said, leaning into his touch despite every instinct screaming warnings. You met me in this life. In a diner, while men with guns were hunting you. And I wrote a note, and everything changed. Everything changed, he echoed. We stood there in the golden light while his mother watched television inside and the city hummed beyond the garden walls. 2 people from different worlds, forced together by violence, discovering something that felt dangerously close to connection. Tell me something true, I whispered. Something you've never told anyone. His thumb traced my cheekbone, gentle and devastating. Sometimes I forget who I was before I became this. Before the money and the power and the blood. Sometimes I look in the mirror, and I don't recognize the man looking back. And the worst part, his voice cracked. The worst part is I'm not sure I want to remember. Because that boy was weak. That boy couldn't protect anyone. That boy watched his mother fall apart and didn't know how to stop it. That boy, I said, catching his hand, holding it against my face, grew into a man who builds panic rooms to save strangers, who brings his mother fresh bread, who keeps her whole world separate and sacred because he loves her too much to let his darkness touch her. That's not heroic. That's selfish. It's both. I turned my head, kissed his palm, felt him shudder. We're all both, Alexei. Selfish and generous, dark and light. The trick is figuring out which parts we feed. And what if I've been feeding the wrong parts for 20 years? Then you start feeding different ones. I stepped closer, closing the space between us until I could feel his heartbeat through his sweater. Starting now, he stared at me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. Then, slowly, giving me every chance to pull away, he lowered his head. The kiss was soft, questioning. Nothing like I'd expected from a man who lived with violence. I kissed him back, rising on my toes, and felt something in my chest crack open. Not love, not yet, maybe not ever. But something just as dangerous. Hope. We broke apart at the sound of the back door opening. Lyosha, Svetlana's voice, cheerful and knowing. Come inside. Delilah too. I made compote and you both need something sweet. Coming, Mama, he called, voice rough. He looked at me, and his eyes held a promise and a warning. 2 days, he said quietly. And then everything changes again. I know. You should run. While you still can. While I can still let you go. I touched his face, mirroring what he'd done to me. I'm done running, Alexei. From anything. That might be the bravest or stupidest thing you've ever said. Probably both. We went inside to compote and sitcoms, and his mother's knowing smiles, and I tried not to think about what would happen in 2 days, when the sanctuary ended and the real world came crashing back. But midnight came anyway, as it always does, bringing nightmares dressed as men with guns and rewards for blood, and the knowledge that every moment of peace was borrowed time we'd eventually have to repay. The call came at 2:47 a.m. I woke to Alexei's phone buzzing insistently in the dark, his muttered curse as he answered it. Then silence so profound it had texture. When? His voice, cold and controlled. A pause. How many? Another pause. I'm coming. He ended the call and sat on the edge of the guest bed where I'd been sleeping while he took the floor. In the moonlight bleeding through the curtains, I could see his shoulders, rigid with tension. Alexei? Get dressed. Quietly. Don't wake my mother. What's happening? Yuri was shot an hour ago. He stood, already moving. He's alive, but they found him. Which means they're tracing everyone connected to me. Which means they're coming here. Yes. My blood turned cold. Your mother. We'll be fine. They don't kill old women. It's bad for business. And Victor, for all his faults, has some honor. He pulled on his jacket, checked his gun. But you and I need to leave. Now. I dressed in 30 seconds, Jeans, sweater, boots, grabbed my jacket. Followed Alexei down the stairs, past his mother's room where she slept peacefully, unaware her world was about to fracture. At the bottom of the stairs, Alexei paused, wrote something on a notepad by the phone, then kissed his fingers and pressed them to the paper. "What did you write?" I whispered. "That I love her, that I'm sorry, that she should stay with cousin Natasha for a few weeks." His voice was empty. "That I'll explain everything when this is over." "Will you?" "Probably not." He took my hand. "Come on." We left through the back door, through the garden his mother tended so carefully. Over the fence into the alley. A car was waiting, not Alexei's, something anonymous and dark. A woman sat in the driver's seat, sharp-featured, beautiful in a dangerous way. "This is Katya," Alexei said, opening the back door. "She's one of 3 people I trust in this city." 2, now, Katya corrected, her accent placing her somewhere in Eastern Europe. "Yuri's in surgery, might not make it. And Dmitri." She glanced at Alexei through the rearview mirror. "Dmitri sold you out." I felt Alexei go still beside me. "You're certain?" "The money trail doesn't lie. $50,000 transferred to an offshore account 2 hours after Victor posted the reward." Katya pulled into traffic, smooth and fast. "I'm sorry, Alexei. I know you trusted him. I should have known better." His voice was flat, emotionless. The voice of a man who'd learned not to feel betrayal, because feeling it would break him. "Dimitri's daughter has cancer. Experimental treatment in Germany. Of course he sold me out. It's what I would have done." "That's not true," I said. "Isn't it?" He looked at me, and his eyes were dark pits. "What wouldn't I do to save my mother? What line wouldn't I cross? What betrayal wouldn't I commit?" He laughed, bitter and sharp. "We're all monsters, Delilah. Some of us just have better reasons." Katya drove us to a warehouse district in Red Hook, all rusted metal and broken windows. She parked inside a building that looked abandoned, but had new locks, reinforced doors, surveillance cameras hidden in the graffiti. "Safe house number 47, Alexei said. "One of the last places they don't know about." "For how long?" I asked. "Long enough." He got out, held the door for me. "Katya, I need weapons. Cash, passports, the full exit package, already inside." She jerked her chin toward a steel door. "But Alexei, you can't run forever. Victor has too much reach, too much money, too much anger. I'm not running." His smile was cold and terrible. "I'm preparing." "For what?" "To end this, permanently." Inside, the warehouse had been converted into something between a military bunker and a luxury apartment. Concrete walls, expensive furniture, enough weapons to stage a small war. Katya showed me to a bedroom smaller than Svetlana's guest room, sterile and windowless, then left to talk strategy with Alexei. I could hear their voices through the door, low and urgent, punctuated by the sounds of weapons being loaded, checked, prepared. I sat on the bed and tried not to shake. This was real now. Not theoretical danger, not abstract threat. Real bullets, real blood, real death, waiting in the margins. A knock. Alexei entered, carrying a gun I didn't recognize and a look that suggested he was about to ask me to do something terrible. "I need you to listen," he said, sitting beside me. "And I need you not to argue until I'm finished." "Okay." Victor Molotov operates out of a club in Manhattan, private, exclusive, impossible to get into unless you're known, trusted, or, he hesitated, or extremely beautiful and willing to work there for the evening. Understanding hit like a fist. "You want me to go there, to get close to him." "Not close, just inside. Just long enough to..." He pulled out a device the size of a credit card. "To plant this in the women's bathroom. It's a signal jammer. When activated, it cuts all communications in a 50-foot radius. Phones, security systems, everything. And then what? And then I come in, and I end this. By killing him." "Yes." I stared at the device in his hand. "Why me? Why not Katya? She's trained, she's known. Her face is in every database Victor has access to. But you..." His free hand touched my face. "You're nobody. A waitress who vanished. Nobody in Victor's world knows you exist. You could walk into that club and they wouldn't see you as a threat. Until you come in shooting and they realize I helped. You'll be gone by then. Out the back. In a car Katya will have waiting. Safe. And you?" His expression went carefully blank. "I'll handle Victor. And then? And then you disappear. New identity, new city, new life. The cash and passport are yours. $25,000 and a Canadian identity that'll pass any check." I stood, pacing the small room. So that's the plan? I help you commit murder, then run away and pretend none of this happened? Pretend I didn't. I turned to face him. Pretend I didn't meet you? Yes. No. Delilah. No. I crossed back to him, stood between his knees, forced him to look up at me. If I do this, if I help you, then I'm not running afterward. I'm staying. I'm seeing this through. All of it. That's not an option. Why not? Because... His hand settled on my hips, gripping hard. Because after I kill Victor, every enemy he ever made will come for me. His family, his allies, his entire organization. It'll be open war, and I can't. His voice cracked. I can't protect you through that. Then teach me to protect myself. That's not how this works. Then we change how it works. I cupped his face, forcing him to meet my eyes. I'm done being saved, Alexei. I'm done being protected. If we're doing this together, we do it as partners, equals. Or we don't do it at all. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You're insane. Probably. I kissed him, hard and desperate and meaning it. But so are you. So maybe we're perfect for each other. He kissed me back, and this time there was nothing soft about it. This was hunger and fear and desperation. Two people clinging to each other at the edge of an abyss. His hands tangled in my hair, my fingers dug into his shoulders. We broke apart, breathing hard, foreheads pressed together. If you die, he whispered, I'll never forgive you. Same. Deal. Katya's voice through the door. Lovebirds, we have a problem. We separated, followed her back to the main room, where she'd set up 3 monitors showing security feeds. What am I looking at? Alexei asked. Dmitri. She pointed at one screen. A man in his 50s, sitting in what looked like a warehouse, hands bound, face bloody. Victor's holding him, broadcasting it to your known associates. An invitation. To what? To trade. Katya pulled up another image text message, sent from an unknown number. Dimitri's life for yours. Midnight tomorrow. Red Hook Grain Terminal. Come alone, or he dies. Alexei's jaw clenched. It's a trap. Obviously. Katya looked at him. But you're going anyway, aren't you? Yes. Alexei, I started. He sold me out because he was desperate. Because his daughter is dying and he saw a way to save her. Alexei's voice was steady, resolved. I would have done the same. And that means I owe him a chance. Even if it kills me, then we change the plan, I said. We don't wait for midnight tomorrow. We hit Victor tonight, while he's expecting us to wait, while he thinks he has leverage. Katya's eyes lit up. The girl's smart. The girl has a death wish, Alexei corrected, but he was smiling dark and sharp. But she might be right. So we do this? I asked. Tonight? All of it? Alexei looked at me, and I saw the moment he decided. The moment he stopped trying to protect me and started trusting me instead. Tonight, he agreed. All of it. Then let's get ready, Katya said, already moving toward the weapons. Because we're about to commit so many felonies I've lost count. The club was called Tsaritsyn, Empress. It occupied 3 floors of a building in the meatpacking district, all velvet and mirrors and the kind of wealth that didn't bother being subtle. The bouncer at the door looked like he bench-pressed motorcycles for fun. Inside, I could hear bass thumping, voices laughing, the soundtrack of people who'd never known real danger. I wore a dress Katya had provided, black, short, expensive. Heels that made my legs look longer and my confidence feel borrowed. My hair was down, makeup heavy. I looked nothing like the waitress from Mel's diner. You're stunning, Alexei had said when I emerged from the bedroom, and the hunger in his eyes had almost made me forget the gun taped to my inner thigh. Almost. Now I stood at the entrance, fake ID in hand, while the bouncer examined me with professional disinterest. Private event tonight, he said. His accent was thick. Russian. Invitation only. Mr. Molotov's expecting me. I smiled, channeling every confident woman I'd ever envied. I'm new. Katerina sent me. Katerina was, according to Katya's intel, the woman who managed Victor's entertainment. The code worked. The bouncer stepped aside. 3rd floor. Women's room is past the bar, left side. You check in with Katerina first. Of course. I walked inside, and the world became noise and light, and too many bodies in too small a space. Men in expensive suits, women in expensive dresses, everyone drinking, laughing, pretending they didn't know this was a front for organized crime. I found Katerina tall, blonde, beautiful in a calculated way, and fed her the story we'd prepared. New to the city, trying to make money, friend of a friend. She looked me over, nodded once, You're pretty enough. Don't steal. Don't fuck clients unless they pay extra. Don't ask questions. She handed me a serving tray. Bathroom breaks every hour. Understood? Yes, ma'am. I circulated, serving drinks, dodging wandering hands, watching for Victor. Found him 20 minutes in, holding court in a private booth. Mid-40s. Handsome in a brutish way. Surrounded by men who laughed too hard at his jokes. The man who'd put a price on my head. The man Alexei planned to kill. I made my way to the women's bathroom, all marble and gold fixtures and mirrors that caught too much light. Empty, thank God. I pulled the jammer from where I'd hidden it in my bra, activated it, stuck it behind the toilet in the far stall. 30 seconds. That's all it took. Then I was back out, serving drinks, counting down. Alexei was supposed to wait 30 minutes. Give the jammer time to do its work. Give the security systems time to fail silently. Give everyone time to relax into their false sense of safety. But at 23 minutes, the lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, dim and red. Someone screamed. Then someone else. Then chaos. I dropped my tray and ran, not out toward the booth where Victor had been sitting, toward the danger, because that's where Alexei would be. And if I'd learned anything in the past week, it was that running away from him felt like dying. I found him in the VIP section. He'd come through the kitchen entrance, Katya behind him, both armed, both moving with the efficiency of people who'd done this before. You were supposed to leave, Alexei shouted over the screaming. I changed my mind. Delilah. Gunfire. Sharp cracks that echoed off marble. I dropped, instinct taking over. Heard Katya return fire, methodical and precise. Saw Victor's men scattering, some reaching for weapons, others running for exits. And Victor, standing in the center of it all, gun in hand, staring at Alexei with something that looked almost like respect. Constantine. His voice carried despite the chaos. You always did have terrible timing, says the man holding my friend hostage. Alexei moved forward, gun steady. Where's Dmitri? Safe. For now. Victor smiled. Lower your weapon, we talk. Keep it raised. Everyone dies. Your choice. He's lying, Katya said. He'll shoot the moment you lower your guard. Probably, Alexei agreed. But he lowered the gun anyway. What do you want, Victor? Want? Victor laughed. I want you dead, obviously. You've been a thorn in my family's side for 5 years. But, he glanced at me, and recognition flickered. That's her, the waitress. The one who warned you. Leave her out of this. Oh, she's very much in this. She made it personal the moment she chose you over profit. Victor's gun swung toward me. So here's my offer. You, for her and Dmitri. You die, they go free, clean. No revenge. No further action. No, I said before Alexei could respond. Don't do it. Not your choice, Alexei said. Eyes never leaving Victor. Like hell it isn't. I pulled the gun from my thigh holster awkward, slow, unpracticed. Pointed it at Victor with shaking hands. You want someone dead? Shoot me. But you don't get him. Victor stared at me, then burst out laughing. Oh, this is rich. The waitress has teeth. Alexei, where did you find her? Luck, Alexei said quietly. Pure, stupid luck. Luck. Victor's expression hardened. I don't believe in luck. I believe in leverage, in power, in understanding that everything has a price. He moved the gun back to Alexei. So what's her price? How much is she worth to you? Everything. The word landed like a bomb. Victor's eyebrows rose. Everything? You'd give up your empire? Your operations? Your entire life for a waitress you've known a week? Yes. Why? Alexei's eyes found mine across the space. Because she saw me, the real me. Not the monster, not the boss, not the reputation. She saw who I was and she warned me anyway. She saved me anyway. And for the first time in 20 years, I felt like maybe I was worth saving. I couldn't breathe. Victor lowered his gun. Slowly. That's the most pathetic thing I've ever heard. Probably. Alexei's smile was dark. But it's the truth. Then you're a fool. Victor raised his gun again. Katya shot him. One bullet. Center mass. Before he could finish the movement, he dropped, gasping, blood spreading across his expensive shirt. Sorry, Katya said, not sounding sorry at all. He was going to shoot you, couldn't allow it. Alexei rushed to Victor's side, pressed his hands to the wound. Where's Dmitri? Victor. Where is he? Grain. Terminal. Victor coughed, blood on his lips. Third. Building. Basement. You're going to be fine, Alexei lied. Because that's what you say to dying men. Just hold on. Liar. Victor's hand gripped Alexei's wrist, surprisingly strong. Promise. No revenge. On my family. Just business. Nothing personal. I promise. You're terrible. Liar. Victor's eyes closed. His breathing went shallow, then stopped. The club was chaos. Security trying to restore order. Police sirens growing closer. Katya grabbed my arm. We need to leave. Now. Alexei stood, covered in Victor's blood, and looked at me. Can you run? Yes. Then run. We ran. Through the kitchen, down a service stairwell, out into an alley where Katya had a car waiting. She drove us through red lights and back streets while police converged on the club behind us. Dmitri, Alexei said. Red Hook grain terminal. Already have units heading there, Katya said. He'll be fine. You sure? No. But we're wanted for murder now, so our options are limited. We ditched the car in Williamsburg, switched to another one Katya had stashed, drove to the warehouse in Red Hook, where this had all started hours ago. Inside, Alexei finally stopped moving. He looked at his hands, at Victor's blood, at me. I killed him, he said. Katya killed him. Because of me. Because I couldn't. He slammed his hand against the wall. I promised my mother, no violence. And instead I started a war. I crossed to him, took his face in my hands. You saved Dmitri. You saved me. You ended a threat that would have killed us both. That's not starting a war. That's surviving one. There'll be consequences. Victor's family. The other organizations. They'll come for me. For anyone connected to me. Then we face them. Together. He pulled me close, desperate and shaking. I can't lose you. Not now. Not after. You won't. I kissed him, tasting fear and blood, and something that might have been hope. I'm not going anywhere. Promise me. I promise. Outside, sirens wailed. Inside, two people stood in the wreckage of their choices and held each other like the world was ending. Maybe it was, but we'd face that tomorrow. Tonight we were alive, and that was enough. Dmitri was alive. Katya's people found him in the grain terminal exactly where Victor said he'd be beaten, dehydrated, but breathing. They smuggled him to a private doctor, the kind who didn't ask questions and accepted cash. We visited him 2 days later, when the immediate manhunt had cooled enough to risk movement. He lay in a hospital bed in someone's basement clinic, IV in his arm, face a mess of bruises. I'm sorry, he said the moment he saw Alexei. Tears leaked from his swollen eyes. I'm so sorry. Mila needed the treatment and I didn't know what else. Stop. Alexei sat in the chair beside the bed. You did what any father would do. I'm not angry. You should be. I sold you out. I nearly got you killed. But I'm not dead. And neither are you. And your daughter gets her treatment. Alexei pulled out an envelope, set it on the bedside table. $100,000. Wire it to the clinic in Germany. Tell them to spare no expense. Dmitri stared at the envelope like it might bite him. I can't. You can. And you will. And then you're going to take your family and leave the city. Change your names. Start over somewhere quiet and boring and safe. Alexei's voice was gentle. I'm not giving you a choice, Dmitri. I'm giving you an order. Get out while you still can. What about you? I'll manage. Victor's family will be handled. Alexei stood. Focus on your daughter. Let me worry about the rest. Outside the clinic, Katya was waiting in the car. She drove us back to the warehouse in silence, then turned in her seat. You gave him $100,000. Yes. Money you don't have, incidentally. Your accounts are frozen. Assets seized. The organization is fracturing. She lit a cigarette. Blew smoke at the ceiling. You're broke, Alexei. And wanted for murder. And Victor's nephew Sergei is putting together a coalition to come after you. I know. And you're smiling. Why are you smiling? Because... He glanced at me. Because for the first time in 20 years, I'm not playing defense. I'm not protecting an empire or maintaining appearances or trying to be something I'm not. I'm just... surviving. And that's simpler. Simpler, Katya repeated. You're delusional. Probably. He took my hand. But I'm alive. Delilah's alive. Dimitri's daughter gets her treatment. That's not nothing. Katya studied us both, then sighed. You're in love with her. Katya, don't deny it. I've known you 15 years. I've never seen you look at anyone the way you look at her. She took another drag. It's going to get her killed, you know. Love makes you soft. Predictable. Vulnerable. I know. And you're doing it anyway. Yes. She laughed, short and bitter. You're an idiot. Probably. He squeezed my hand. But I'm her idiot now. That night, alone in the warehouse bedroom, I asked the question that had been building for days. What happens now? Alexei was cleaning his gun at the small desk, methodical and practiced. He didn't look up. Now we disappear. Really disappear. New identities, new country, new everything. And your mother? His hand stilled. She'll be safer if I stay away. If I never contact her again. If she can tell Victor's family honestly that she doesn't know where I am. That'll kill her. Yes, he resumed cleaning. But it'll keep her alive. That's the trade. I crossed to him, put my hand over his. You can't just disappear, Alexei. You have a whole life here. People who depend on you. Work that was built on violence and crime and choices I can't take back. He looked up, and his eyes were ancient. I've been trying to be something I'm not for 2 decades. Trying to be respectable, legitimate, good. And all it did was make me better at hiding the bodies. So what? You just give up? Walk away from everything? Yes. He pulled me between his knees, hands settling on my waist. Because the alternative is watching you die. Watching my mother get caught in crossfire. Watching everyone I care about suffer because I was too proud or too stubborn to admit I can't win this. That's not giving up. That's giving in. Maybe. His forehead pressed to my stomach. But I'm tired, Delilah. I've been tired for so long. And for the first time, I have something worth running toward instead of away from. What's that? You. The word hung between us, heavy with meaning. I ran my fingers through his hair, felt him shudder. I never asked for this, I whispered. Any of this. The danger, the running, I know. He looked up. And I'm sorry. I should have let you walk away that first night. Should have protected you by staying away. But I'm a selfish bastard, and I wanted, he swallowed hard. I wanted to see where this went. What we might become together. If maybe, just maybe, 2 broken people could build something whole. And what have we built? I don't know yet. He stood, cupped my face. But I'd like to find out. If you'll let me. If you'll trust me one more time to keep you safe. I thought about my studio apartment. My invisible life. The careful architecture of being nobody. All of it gone now. Burned away by a warning scribbled on a napkin. Okay, I said. Okay? We disappear. Together. We build something new. We figure out what happens when the shooting stops and real life begins. I kissed him, soft and certain. But Alexei, yes? No more secrets. No more protecting me by hiding things. If we do this, we do it as partners. Real partners. Or we don't do it at all. He smiled. And it transformed his face. Made him look young, hopeful, human. Deal. We spent the next week preparing. New passports, Canadian for me, American for him. Cash converted to bearer bonds. Contacts made with people who specialized in disappearing. Katya handled most of it, moving through networks I didn't understand with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. Where will you go? She asked on our last night in the warehouse. Montana, Alexei said. Small town, middle of nowhere. The kind of place where nobody asks questions because everyone has something to hide. Sounds boring. Good. He looked at me. Boring is exactly what we need. On our last morning in New York, I insisted on one stop. Where? Alexei asked. Your mother's house. Delilah. She deserves a goodbye. Even if it's not a real one. Even if it's just, I searched for words. Just a moment to see you're okay before you disappear from her life. He argued. But I won. We drove to Brooklyn in the pre-dawn dark, parked 3 blocks away. Alexei wrote a letter while I waited long, detailed, full of words he'd never say out loud. Then we walked to Svetlana's house. The garden was autumn brown now, preparing for winter. Lights were on inside, she was awake, probably making tea, probably worrying about her son. Alexei tucked the letter into the mailbox, then stood there, staring at the house like he was memorizing it. I'll take care of her, Katya had promised. Send money, make sure she's safe. But Alexei, she'll never stop looking for you, never stop hoping you'll come back. I know, he'd said. Now, standing in the dark, he looked broken. She loves you, I said quietly. I know, and you're doing this because you love her. I know. Then remember that, when it gets hard, when you miss her, when you wonder if you made the right choice. Remember that love sometimes looks like leaving. He took my hand, and together we walked away from the only home he'd ever known, toward a future that was uncertain and terrifying and ours. The sun was rising as we left the city. We didn't look back. Montana in November was cold, unforgiving, and perfectly anonymous. We bought a house outside a town called Silver Creek. Population 2,400, 2 churches, 1 diner, and a gas station that doubled as the grocery store. The house was small, old, surrounded by 40 acres of nothing. No neighbors, no witnesses, no past, just us. I got a job at the diner. Irony wasn't lost on me serving coffee to ranchers and truckers who never asked questions. Alexei did handyman work, fixing fences and repairing roofs, and slowly becoming someone new. Someone named Michael. Someone ordinary. At night, we'd sit on the porch despite the cold and watch stars so bright they hurt. Do you miss it? I asked one night, 6 weeks in. The life before? The violence or the money? Both. He considered. I miss the purpose, knowing what I was fighting for, who I was protecting. Now, he gestured at the empty land. Now I'm just existing. Existing isn't the same as living. Not yet, he looked at me. But maybe it could be. Winter came hard. Snow piled 6 feet high. The diner closed for 3 days. We were trapped in the house with nothing but each other and the silence. That's when I started writing again. Not stories of escape. I'd lived that. Instead, I wrote about a woman who saved a dangerous man with a napkin note, about the violence that followed, about learning to love someone complicated and broken and real. Is that about us? Alexei asked, reading over my shoulder one afternoon. Maybe. Am I that noble in real life? No. I closed the laptop. You're better, because you're real. He kissed my temple, and I felt his smile against my skin. Spring came slowly. Snow melted. The land turned green. And one morning, I woke to find Alexei standing at the window, phone in his hand, not the secure one, a new one staring at a message. What is it? I asked. Katya. He showed me the screen. Katya. Sergei Molotov died last night. Heart attack. His sons are fighting over succession. The coalition fell apart. Nobody's looking for you anymore. You're free. I read it twice. That's over? Just like that? Apparently. He set the phone down. Victor's nephew dies, the organization fractures, and we get to keep hiding in Montana for no reason. Not no reason. He turned. No? We're hiding because we choose to. Because this life. I gestured at our small house, at the land, at the simplicity of it all. This life is what we want, not what we're forced into. Is it? He moved closer. Is this really what you want, Delilah? Small town. Small life. Pretending to be someone you're not? I'm not pretending. I stood, met him halfway. I'm finally being someone real. Someone who isn't afraid. Someone who chose love over safety. Someone who wrote a warning on a napkin and changed everything. You did change everything. His hands framed my face. You changed me. Good. We stood there in the morning light. 2 people who'd survived violence and betrayal, and the kind of danger most people only read about. And we'd chosen this. Chosen each other. Chosen ordinary. In June, Svetlana called. Not Alexei's phone, mine, the one Katya must have given her. I answered, heart pounding. Delilah? Her voice was older, tired, but still strong. Is this Delilah? Yes. Is my son alive? I looked at Alexei. He nodded once. Yes, I said. He's alive. He's safe. I swallowed hard. He's sorry he couldn't say goodbye. Silence. Then, tell him I love him. Tell him I forgive him. Tell him. Her voice broke. Tell him to be happy. That's all I want. For him to be happy. I will. And you, Delilah. You take care of my Leosha. You keep him good. Promise me. I promise. She hung up. I told Alexei what she'd said, and he wept for the first time since I'd known him. Deep, wrenching sobs that shook his entire body. I held him while he broke, while he finally let himself feel everything he'd been carrying for 20 years. When he finished, he looked at me with red eyes and something like peace. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For saving me, over and over, in every way that matters. In August, I finished the book, 70,000 words of truth wrapped in fiction. I showed it to Alexei, nervous and hopeful. He read it in one sitting, then looked at me with wonder. This is us, he said. Yes, this is our story. Yes, it's beautiful and terrible and real. He closed the laptop carefully. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. Publish it, maybe. Or just keep it. Evidence that we existed. That what happened mattered. It matters. He pulled me close. You matter, we matter. September brought news from Katya. She was leaving the business, taking her savings, moving to Portugal. Getting old, she wrote. Want to see ocean before I die. October brought the first snow of the season. And November brought a letter. It arrived on a Tuesday, hand-delivered to the post office in Silver Creek. No return address. Just my name on the envelope in handwriting I didn't recognize. Inside, a single photograph. Svetlana in her garden, smiling, surrounded by late roses. On the back, in her careful script, "Thank you for keeping your promise. He looks happy in your eyes." I cried. Alexei held me. And we understood that some goodbyes weren't endings, they were just pauses. Breaths between chapters. Spaces where love lived even when people couldn't. That night, on the porch, wrapped in blankets against the cold, Alexei asked, "If you could go back, to that night in the diner, knowing everything that would happen, would you still write the warning?" I thought about it. About the panic room and the violence and the running. About Victor's blood and Dimitri's tears and Svetlana's goodbye. About how terrifying and beautiful and real it had all been. "Yes," I said. "Every time." "Why?" "Because..." I turned to face him. "Because before I met you, I was nobody. And I thought that's what safety meant. Being invisible. Being nothing. But you taught me that being nobody isn't the same as being safe. It's just another kind of dying. And now? Now I'm someone. Someone who saved a man. Someone who survived. Someone who loved." I kissed him. Cold nose to cold nose. Someone who wrote a warning on a napkin and changed 2 lives forever. He smiled. And it was the smile I loved best. Not the dangerous one or the controlled one. The real one. The one that made him look young and hopeful and entirely human. "I love you," he said. "I've loved you since the moment you slipped me that napkin. Since you chose bravery over safety. Since you saw me and decided I was worth saving. I love you too." The words came easy now, natural as breathing. "My dangerous man, my complicated man, my Alexei." "Michael," he corrected with a grin. "I'm Michael now." "No." I shook my head. "You'll always be Alexei to me. The man who ordered terrible eggs. Who built panic rooms and broke hearts and learned how to live, instead of just survive." We sat there as snow began to fall. 2 people who'd found each other in violence and chosen each other in peace. 2 people who'd been nobody and somebody and everything in between. The diner would open tomorrow. I'd serve coffee. He'd fix someone's fence. We'd live our ordinary, beautiful life. But tonight, we were just us. 2 people wrapped in blankets on a Montana porch, watching snow fall on our new beginning. And that was enough. That was more than enough. That was everything.